You're listening to Exploring Anime with Friends, a JMO for Real podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and all major podcasting networks. I'm your host, JMO! And today's friend is my wife and co-host. How's it going today, Sarah?
Hi, everyone. It's going great today.
Awesome. Are you excited for today's installment of Exploring Anime with Friends Movie Edition?
Oh, I am.
Excellent. Today we'll be covering the world of Lost in Starlight, the first ever Korean anime movie released in May of 2025. It is a romance sci-fi that takes place in the not too distant future, right?
Yeah, we'll call it that.
Right?
Yeah.
It kind of feels like there's
Distant enough.
There's technological advances that we don't have right now.
Yes, of course.
But a lot of them aren't that crazy to envision in the next 20 years.
The holograms, maybe?
The holograms? Okay, maybe.
That would be where I'd be like, maybe not. Well, I mean, for all I know, NASA already has half of this anyway, so whatever.
Yeah, maybe. Honestly, it doesn't feel like it's set too far in the future. But
yeah.
First, we will be exploring a little bit of this world as a whole, and then we will meet our main female lead, Nanyo. After that, we'll meet our main male lead, Jay, and then talk about their relationship as it comes together and the obstacles it creates. And if you like what you hear today, check us out on social media, like, subscribe, and follow. All right, let's talk a little bit about this world. Talk about the technology that makes it sci-fi, and maybe we'll do something a little different for a change and kind of relate how some of that is appearing in today's world a little.
That's very fair. Okay, so yes, there's holograms. The holograms are specifically like phone calls, basically. Like when someone calls in, it's not just they're calling on the phone, they appear before you. You can tell it's a hologram. But that's pretty cool. I thought that was neat.
That's not in the next 20 years. That's farther off. But you could see it happening. The hologram of the person was actually interacting with stuff on the shelf in the opening scene,
poking
which I thought was kind of cool.
That was definitely cool. Her keyboard that she uses to type with isn't actually there. It's also a hologram. So that was kind of cool. She just type. You could see her typing, but she's basically tapping on the desk.
Yeah, this is further in the future than 20 years. Now that I'm thinking about it,
I don't know. I think there's stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like I've heard things.
Okay.
Maybe not quite that.
I mean, we're not tech experts.
We are not. Don't quote us on anything.
But yeah, no, you can see the technology with self-driving cars actually being operational and functional.
Yeah.
And things like the little droid that was created in order to detect life, that's not that far of a stretch. And also when you think about it, some of the way that the phones were operating.
Mm-hmm.
And yet at the same time, it hasn't advanced so far in the future to where all the relics of the past are lost.
Yeah.
Because we literally see record players in this.
Yes.
Right? We see vinyl, we see record players, and a record player really plays a huge role in the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least something of a role. So in the same exact apartment, our female lead, she has both a droid that can detect life and a record player, which is just kind of awesome.
And the vinyls for it.
And who did that record player belong to initially? Tell us a little bit about the significance of it.
So the record player itself, the lid is decorated by what you can assume was a very young child.
Yeah.
And it belonged to her mother, and those are her decorations that she put on it, not Nanyo's decorations that she put on it. The vinyls are also her mom's. Everything that she has, it seemed, that was like that throwback kind of era belonged to her mom.
Yeah, and she had everything from Sinatra to Nat King Cole. So.
Yeah, so that's old for us.
And the biggest significance about her relationship with her mom as a whole, her mom was part of the last team of space explorers that went to Mars. And what happens in that last space exploration?
It's pretty gut-wrenching. So, unfortunately, her mom doesn't make it back from that trip, and no one actually makes it back from that trip.
Yeah.
I believe what happens is just this crazy storm just hits the area that they're stationed at.
Almost like a tremor. It's not quite an earthquake, but it's almost splitting down into the earth and burying it in. Well, I mean, I guess that's the definition of an earthquake.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. And yeah, no one makes it. And kind of the worst, but also almost a good aspect is right before it happens, her mom is making a recording to send back to her. So she gets it's horrifying to watch, but she gets the last moment of her mom's life.
Yeah, and the reason why they're there in the first place is they're looking for the microorganisms to see if they can detect life on Mars and to see if they can plant and grow things on Mars. Because it didn't actually come right out and say it, but it looks like the world is looking to expand into other horizons and see if they can populate Mars. It isn't actually happening yet, but their space program's developed enough to send people to Mars for at least a limited amount of time. Another thing to point out is Nanyo's mom was the first ever Korean astronaut
Yes.
to actually fly out from NASA. It was groundbreaking and heart-wrenching at the same time. And with this all hanging over Nanyo's head, that's kind of where her story begins in her adult years, where she is part of the space exploration team. She is testing right at the beginning of the movie to see if she can be one of the members of the next expedition to Mars 20 years after her mom died in the accident. Talk to us a little bit about that opening scene. And let's be honest, the trauma that really defines Nanyo.
So the opening scene was a little confusing because at first you think this person on the screen is there to check the area and salvage. You're not told immediately that it's all just a simulation. So this is Nanyo going through the simulation, but the simulation is what happened to her mom. It's the same spot. It's the same everything. So while she's going through, she's doing everything she needs to do. I don't know, hallucination might be a bit of a strong word, but she thinks she sees something in the wreckage, and it causes her to pause. Now, it doesn't cause her to pause long enough for them to be like, nope, you can't do this, we're sorry. If she hadn't paused, like, she still made it plenty of time when she completed everything. If she hadn't paused, she would have broken a record for this kind of thing.
Yeah, no, she's that elite. She's
that good. Yeah, but the drawback that, like, her superiors are really looking at is, like, she's like, no, I'm fine. I can go to Mars. I can do this. I've got no problems at all. Her superiors are like, well, you see, that's the problem. Because you lost someone, you're the only one that lost someone that's, like, going to Mars or wanting to go to Mars. There's got to be some trauma there. Like, the therapy, the psychologists say, like, you got some trauma, lady. You got some trauma.
But that's the thing, because when she takes the test and everything, it's barely in the range of psychologically fit to go, which, by the way,
she's still there, though.
In the range at all of being psychologically ready to go to Mars has to mean that you are so much stronger mentally than the average human being.
I would think so.
But there's still the hesitation because they know there should be something that just isn't showing up in their records. But what it is showing up in, it's showing up in moments of flashback and nightmares throughout the whole thing.
Things that they don't really see.
Yeah.
Like her superiors.
Things that aren't recorded. The moments where she's looking and she's looking upon, like, a person walking, and then she sees it as her mom, and she sees herself as the little girl. And people don't realize the extent of what she's going to because she puts on such a big, brave front.
Yeah.
Because she is a very courageous person. Like, honestly, if I have to say anything about her, she's a very determined, focused, courageous person.
Absolutely, 100%.
She knows the mission, and she knows what it takes to get there, and she has already signed up to sacrifice everything to do it.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why she doesn't want to fall in love.
Yeah, she doesn't want to get close to anyone. We're told pretty early that just to travel to Mars is 6 months of your life, which, albeit it's probably a pretty awesome 6 months because you're in outer space. It's pretty awesome. But 6 months of your life is just devoted just to travel, not the time
just
it takes
to travel too, not even back.
Yeah, just there. So a full year of travel time, and then whatever time you're committed there.
Which, we were talking about, we couldn't figure out how long that would be. Can't imagine that it's too much more than a half year there, with a minimum of probably, 1 or 2 months?
It depends on the food supply, and it depends on the oxygen supply.
We do know that they grow their own food on their spaceship.
They have a way to grow the food.
So they're not using just normal rations, which is kind of awesome when you think about it. That might be as technologically advanced as anything else that's actually
that's fair.
that's actually in the movie as a whole. She has that singular focus because this is her life. And if you like what you're hearing so far, remember to check us out on social media, like, subscribe, and follow. And you can watch this first ever Korean anime movie for yourself on Netflix. It is a Netflix exclusive. And once again, that is Lost in Starlight. And Nanyo has everything planned out because she knows what she wants. And then enter Jay. Talk to us about Jay.
I mean, Jay's a pretty nice guy. He's a musician. So he's got that going for him. That's a pretty cool thing. And just all around, he's kind of playful. He's got some banter to him. He's just a good dude.
Yeah, he's very polite. He's very
polite.
sweet. And yet at the same time, he's not self-deprecating. He doesn't come across as cocky, but there's an air of confidence about him.
Yeah.
He knows his value, despite the fact that he's struggling with what he wants from life, because it's not to the same level that it is with Nanyo. But he's struggling with his own things in his life, too. His musical career has stalled because he did not like the fact that the band that he was a part with was taking his music and making it into something that was unrecognizable to him. So he has put his life on pause, trying to figure out what's going on, when he bumps into Nanyo one day.
Literally.
And he's working at an old...
A repair shop?
A music technology repair shop?
I guess. I'm not really sure what it is.
An old tech repair shop. We know that he knows how to get the record player fixed that Nanyo's trying to get fixed. And that's how they run into each other. They bump into each other on the street. He sees what she's walking around with and trying to get fixed. And as the ever helpful guy that he is, he offers his business card immediately. He says, stop by and I'm going to help you get that fixed up.
Yep.
And he shows how knowledgeable he is. Like, that's another thing with him. Obviously, we could have spent a long time on Nanyo with how knowledgeable she is, because she is, well, I mean, she built a droid that could detect life. And she's working on groundbreaking discoveries for NASA. And as much as her knowledge is all for the future, his knowledge appears to all be in the past.
That's a good point.
So that dynamic really works out very nicely. Spoiler alert, he does actually help her fix up the record player, and he gives it to her. Another very driven person, too, even if he doesn't know what destination he's driving for. But he does know what destination he's driving for now, because the second time he meets Nanyo, she is his destination. Talk to us a little bit about their dynamic together.
So they're adorable.
They're adorable, but they're also a very realistic couple.
Yes.
Like, I haven't seen a ton of romance anime or romances as a whole.
That's fair.
But this was the most believable one that I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, because it starts with, like, the second time they meet. It's not a date, but he offered to get her dinner because something didn't pan out, I think, with fixing her record player.
And then she knows she's better off, so she offers to pay.
Yeah.
And keeps on calling him sir and not being on the first name basis with each other
yet.
And he's like, I'm going to use your name the third time we meet.
And
right?
she's like, yeah, okay. So she goes to leave, and then not even like a minute later, as she's walking down the street away, he comes, and it's raining, of course, because this is romance. He comes running, and he is out of breath, and he's like, this is the third time we've met. Now we can call each other by our names.
Yeah, and he opens his umbrella because he noticed that she didn't have an umbrella before. And he's kind of like, yeah, no, let's walk home together.
It's super cute. I'm gonna say what it is. It's adorkable. It's just adorkable. I love it.
Yeah, but like, again, I said it before. It played like I felt it could have. A little fast, but some people are a little fast.
Fast burn versus slow burn. I don't know which I like better in the stuff that I watch, to be honest.
I mean, I think it's kind of refreshing that within the first 15 minutes of the movie, there are a couple.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I think it really laid the groundwork, because then it allowed us to explore more of their personalities. Yes, they did rush into it. And part of that is because of the trauma, because he's looking for direction in his life. And you would think that someone like her, who can't fall in love at this point in time, would actually not fall in love as quickly as she did. But at the same time, it was one of those things, she's so used to rush and fast pace and everything.
Yeah.
And he's showing her the value of slowing down a little. Because at that point in time, he already found out who she is, because she's famous.
Yeah, she's literally on TV.
And she was told that she is not on the team for the next Mars expedition. She is on the reserve for it. So with her adjusting her life to the whole, well, what am I if I'm not a space explorer to Mars? Their paths intersect at the perfect moment for it to happen. And he was sweet, he was caring, and yet he knew his own value, but he knew her value to an either greater extent. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think so anyways.
The whole respecting yourself and respecting your partner to an even greater degree, I think, is something that universally people are looking for when they're looking for someone, right?
Yes. I kind of want to tangent for just a second. The scene where they actually become a couple, oh my gosh, it was so cute. She put up this front pretty much. She's like, no, we can't do this. And he's like, yes, we can. And it wasn't in that, like, I reject your no. It was the, I can tell you're being playful.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see if I can be playful too. And it was just the back and forth they had for a minute. It was so cute.
And it leads into a montage where you're exploring
yeah.
their relationship and everything. He lets it known that she can talk to him if she wants to, and she brings him in. She introduces him to her father, who's still putting up satellites to try to communicate
still
to
trying
Mars.
to send signals.
And she brings him into that part of her life. And he brings her into the part of his life in the music scene, because one night when the two of them were out on a date, his old band was playing on stage. And the leader of the old band, she confronts him, and she's kind of like, we're going to be here on this night, and you need to come, because we're not done with you yet, and you should not be done with yourself. But before we even get there, obviously, if a strange girl who has a history with, it could lead to jealousy with Nanyo.
Yes, I was anticipating that, to be honest.
But the reason it didn't was because the thing that really kind of sealed the two of them come together was Nanyo's favorite song. Talk to us a little bit about that scene.
I don't even remember if the song has it's got to have a name. I don't remember what the name is, though. Do you?
The name's never given
It's
in
never
the movie.
given? Okay. I thought I was maybe forgetting something. So back when they're like initially, she plays him her favorite song, and she's like, I found this one time, and I don't think it's finished yet, but this is my favorite song. It's gotten me through so much. And as she plays it, immediately he realizes that that's his song. He was the one that uploaded it. That's all him.
And he only had it up for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, he didn't have it up that long. Not enough for like a whole bunch of people to download it.
So you could almost call it like a star-crossed fate in some sort of way. But it's one of those things where he's kind of like, and then he shows her, he does a small little performance for her. And she, at that point in time, is very encouraging because as she quickly realizes...
Fangirling.
Well, okay, yeah, fangirl.
She fangirls for just a minute.
She's a little more than encouraging. She's like, oh my goodness, I'm your biggest fan.
It's an honor.
Yeah, it's an honor. Like, the world-famous astronaut is saying to the unknown indie musician, it's like, it's an honor to meet you.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing with music, right?
Yeah.
Like that, it brings up emotions and whatnot. So really, when it comes down to it, that solidifies her connection even further. And she encourages him to rejoin the band. She's like, because, I can have private concerts, or I could also show off my boyfriend on stage, too.
Yeah, I did think that was funny. Yeah.
So he goes onto the stage with them, and he's able to perform once again, and she is so ecstatic. She's so excited. And as they're leaving together, and she's like almost a little bit giddy, and he's very subconscious, but like happy at the same time. She gets a message that changes everything. Tell us what she receives on her voicemail that night.
She was encouraged by one of her fellow coworkers that if she can figure out how to make that little droid find these microorganisms, that would probably put her in place for the Mars mission. And she does figure it out.
Yeah.
And it does put her right in line. She's no longer a reserve. She's going to Mars.
Yeah, and she can't talk about it yet because,
probably some kind of non-disclosure agreement kind of deal.
It has to be, but she's given the wrong timing on when the commercial's going to air.
Yeah.
And while she is at the party to celebrate the team that was selected for the mission, the commercial is airing on TV, and that's how Jay finds out about it for the first time.
Yeah, that felt like a punch in the gut. I'm not going to lie.
And what else happened that same night that Jay saw that commercial? What did he see before it?
So Jay had just finally, he got all the pieces to fix the record player, and it's already fixed. It's fixed, and he's got it nice and boxed up and bowed, and it's beautiful. And he was looking for something to play. He was just kind of browsing her collection and somehow manages to find the last video of her mom. And it's a QR code thing.
Yeah, as she's dying
but literally, like her on Mars, her last message and how all that plays out. And of course, if you're in that situation, if you're Jay, this is horrifying to hear. Like your significant other, the one you love, is going on this mission that now in a very real way, people have died on. Like, I don't necessarily blame how he reacted.
But he lashes out emotionally at her when she's there.
Well, part of it is just goes like, hey, when were you going to tell me? What about your dad? When were you going to tell him? And like, he's upset. He's scared for her. Like, it's everything.
But at the same time, like, it's kind of weird because you can see why both of them would get upset. You could see why both of them why this would lead to a big conflict, because
definitely.
it's not like she ever tried to hide. It's not like she ever tried to hide that she wanted to go to Mars.
Yeah. No, that's incredibly fair.
She made it very clear. And in the emotional moment, he couldn't react any other way than what he did. Was it immature? Yes, but we all
But I
have,
get it.
in emotional moments like that, we all act immature. But at the same time, she didn't withhold information unless she had to withhold it.
Yeah.
And that big conflict emerges, and that's happening right before she's going off. And I don't know, should we leave this here?
That's tough.
Or should we give the resolution to the conflict, or say there was no resolution to it? You know what? We'll be a little nice, because this is far from the end. He meets her right before she's about to go off.
They have like a day together, basically.
And they have a beautiful day at the
beautiful.
beach together. And the wounds are mended. And he realizes at that point in time, it's like, even if I have to go through what her father's going through, I'm going to go through it.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather have loved and lost than not have loved at all.
He was willing to admit that he lashed out and reacted not so great, and he's willing to wait for her to come back.
Yep. And he just has her promise that she doesn't do anything reckless or foolish while she's there.
Yep.
And the cliffhanger we're going to leave you with, that's not a promise she was able to keep.
That's fair. It's a good stopping point.
So overall, and amazing movie as a whole. Definitely watch it. The layers of conflicts with the built-in trauma and the past with her mother and the past with his band and the clash that comes together and the overall realisticness of this relationship. Just kind of, as realistic as an astronaut and a musician's relationship could be. Like, let's be
fair.
They're there. I mean, like, I don't know, like, how many astronauts have there been in the history of the world? It can't be that large of an amount, right? Like,
I imagine not.
So I don't know how many times a story like this even happens based off the occupations. Anywho, anything you want to say about Lost in Starlight as we're wrapping up?
I mean, I felt a lot of emotions watching it. I'm not even trying to like be vague for any reason. I was happy. I was like sad. I was like, oh, my heart felt really squeezed at certain points. I never knew what was going to happen next once she got to Mars and once everything started not breaking down, but once everything started happening, and I wasn't sure how it was going to end, to be honest, for the longest time, and I'm not going to reveal that either. It was an excellent movie, though, either way.
The movie, once again, could have had a variety of endings.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, to be completely honest, like, it showed the complexity of a relationship, even when everything is laid out on the table as to what they're both expecting with their futures. It showed the complexity of a relationship when career goals don't align as perfectly as you would want them to, despite the fact that love is uniting. So I think my favorite part, and I'll say it again, was the realisticness of the relationship itself, and I really appreciated it. I thought that everything was handled in a way of like, could this be something that happens? Like the way that technology progressed into the future at this point in time. I just like the overall realism of what I watched.
Nice.
So once again, we explored a little bit of the world of Lost in Starlight, and then we met our main female and male leads, Nanyu and Jay, and we discovered a little bit of their journey together, defined by both love and trauma. We hope you enjoyed exploring Lost in Starlight as much as we did, and consider watching this anime movie. So if you like what you heard today, make sure you listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you stream your podcast. Listen to all of our J-Mill for Real podcasts. And hit us up on social media, like, subscribe, and follow. Once again, this was Exploring Anime with Friends. Let's explore together. And now for a word from our sponsors. Bin Buster. Live from YouTube, it's Tuesday night, the call sign of the Bin Buster YouTube channel. Once you hear this, you know you're about to embark on a journey through pop culture, movies, comics, and more. Buckle up and enjoy the ride every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. EST. Poppin' Cinema with Joe Mama and Friends. Showcasing the power of cinema, join Joe Mama as he introduces different friends each week to a movie they have not seen before, popping their cinematic cherry as they talk about the movie they just watched every Tuesday at midnight.